Hey everyone, this is a quick sprout cupcake tutorial, so I really hope you like it. And this design was loosely based on Funky Pink Gal's worm cupcake design, and she has a tutorial on that, so I'll put the link down below for those of you who are interested in seeing it. So let's get started. Whenever I make cupcakes, I really like to use a cupcake base mold, but you can make the lines yourself. But I find this a lot easier, so it would be a great idea to pick up one of these, and I got mine from Miniature Sweet. So let's begin with the tutorial. First, I'm taking a ball of female clay, and the color is chocolate. And I'm just going to take the ball of clay, and I'm going to put it into the mold, like this. And you want to bring it up to the sides, but I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap around the edges. And in that gap, I'm going to put some translucent clay, and this is White Translucent by Primo, I'm sorry. So I'm going to condition this. So now I'm taking my conditioned white translucent clay, and I'm just going to put this right on top, and hopefully this should fill the gaps. I really like to put in this to add an extra effect, like the cupcake isn't completely filled and there's just a little bit of cupcake liner pouring over. You want to be very careful that you don't get a lot of air bubbles when you do this, so make sure it's pushed down all the way. Right now I'm taking a dotting tool, and this was actually meant for nail art, and I'm going to push in little indents to redefine the grooves on top of the cupcake. And on the ones that go out, I'm just going to push them closer in, just to make sure that the cupcake is really in the mold and that the shape is very nice. And you're going to want to do this all the way around the cupcake. Right now I'm taking a dotting tool, and this was actually meant for nail art, and I'm going to push in little indents to redefine the grooves on top of the cupcake. And on the ones that go out, I'm just going to push them closer in, just to make sure that the cupcake is really in the mold and that the shape is very nice. And you're going to want to do this all the way around the cupcake. Right now I'm taking a dotting tool, and this was actually meant for nail art, and I'm going to push in little indents to redefine the grooves on top of the cupcake. And on the ones that go out, I'm just going to push them closer in, just to make sure that the cupcake is really in the mold and that the shape is very nice. And you're going to want to do this all the way around the cupcake. Right now I'm taking a dotting tool, and this was actually meant for nail art, and I'm going to push in little indents to redefine the grooves on top of the cupcake. And on the ones that go out, I'm just going to push them closer in, just to make sure that the cupcake is really in the mold and that the shape is very nice. And you're going to want to do this all the way around the cupcake. Since I'm making a chocolate cupcake, I'm not going to use any chalk pastels, and what you want to do is you want to roll your chocolate colored clay into a little ball, and then you're going to want to flatten it a little bit so it will fit on top of the cupcake. The shape does not have to be perfect because this is going to be textured a lot to look like dirt. And you want to make sure you get the size right, so don't be afraid to play around with it. So now I'm just going to test the size of this, and I think this works. So you just want to push in the clay, make sure it gets all on top of it. And it should look like that. Now you want to use your favorite texturing tool. I'm using a needle because that seems to work the best for me. And you just want to swirl on top of it. You want to do this kind of hard so you get like a nice dirt texture. You're just going to want to do this all around the cupcake. And I don't really think there's a need for pastels, like I said before, because this is a chocolate cupcake. And it's all pretty much one shade, but if you want to make it a little bit darker at the top and then texture it, that's totally up to you, but I'm just leaving mine all one shade. So I'm just going to texture all the way around. So once you've completely textured the top of the cupcake, it should look something like this. And also, just as a quick tip, is I really like to keep the cupcake inside the mold until I'm about ready to bake it, because you can, depending on the mold, bake it in the mold, but I really like to make sure I don't distort the bottom of the cupcake base while I'm still texturing it and working with it. So that's just a quick tip to help you guys. To support the sprout itself, I'm actually going to use an eye pin, just like I did in this cupcake that I made. So what you want to do is you want to take your green clay, and you're going to want to rip off a little piece, and you'd be surprised that you really don't need that much. And you're just going to want to roll this into a... Now I'm just going to slide it on to the eye pin, and you're just going to want to get it like to a little part of it where it's around it, and you can twist it around. And then I'm going to roll it into a snake again, but this time while it's on the eye pin. And make sure it doesn't cover the loop itself. And you want to be careful of air bubbles, because you kind of tend to get them. And next you're going to want to roll out 2 balls, and they should be about the same size. And you're going to want to form them into teardrop shapes like that, and just squash it. So that way it forms almost a little leaf. And you can pinch the edges of them, and I'm just going to roll it a little bit. And now I'm going to take my stem that I just made on the eye pin. I'm just going to pinch it on lightly, and I'm going to take my dotting tool and smooth it out. And you're going to want to do the exact same for the other. So once you've done both leaves, your sprout should look something like this. The very last step is to stick your sprout into the top of your cupcake. And it should look like this.